Hi guys! In this video, I'm going to talk about all these strategies that I used in section B of TEF Canada Speaking exam, which helped me to get C1. So I had created another video for section A. So if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend watching that video first and then come back to this video. If you really like the content that I share on my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Alright, so without a further ado, let's get started. So the first thing to keep in mind is just forget about what you did in section A. If section A went really well, then don't be overconfident for section B. And if you think it didn't go well, then don't lose confidence and just stay focused because section B has a higher weightage. So I would just say that give it your 100% and then leave it to the examiner. When you start with the conversation, the first thing is to always present the advertisement to the examiner. So examiner is going to play the role of your friend who you have to convince to participate in some activity which is there on the advertisement. So before you convince your friend, you really need to explain it to him or her, and you need to provide the details which you can see on the advertisement, right? So don't think that examiner already knows what is there on it and there is no need to explain it. You have to explain it because otherwise you are going to lose some points. So when you are explaining the advertisement, just make sure that you don't read it word by word and you use some synonyms or you try and explain it in slightly different way. And if there is a word which you don't understand, then you can just say it as is, or you can even ignore a couple of words, but just make sure that you explain the entire advertisement, and only after that you start with the conversation. So once you explain it to your friend, then you ask him, what do you think about it? Do you think it is a good idea? And then from there the conversation would start. The next very important thing to remember is you have to use tu and not woo, because this is informal conversation. You are talking to a friend, not the examiner. So you should not use woo and you should always stick to tu. The next thing is, don't get defensive if your examiner is not getting convinced. See, this is the exam format and your examiner's job is not to get convinced, so that you can give counter arguments, you can give some valid reasons for why he or she should do that activity, right? So out of 10 minutes, I think during first 8 or 9 minutes, your examiner is not going to be convinced, and he or she would always give you a counter argument that why he or she doesn't think that this is a good idea to participate in this activity, right? And then you have to give them a strong, even a stronger reason every time they are not convinced. So don't get defensive, don't lose hope, just stay focused and just try and think of different reasons you would actually tell your friend to convince him or her to do that activity. But if you think that you have used all the reasons or all the plans that you had in mind to convince your friend, but he is still not convinced, then you can use these methods, which I always had in back of my mind whenever I feel that I'm running out of ideas. So one suggestion is, you can always tell your friend, don't worry about it. It is going to be the best experience ever. If you want, I can also come along with you. We can do it together and then we'll see how it goes. Now, the second strategy is, you can talk about your past experience and probably you can say, last year I also participated in this activity. In the beginning, I wasn't sure, but it turned out to be an amazing experience for me. And I'm sure that if you do it, you're also going to like it. Now, if you feel that your friend is very stubborn, then you can say, you know what, I know that you're very demanding, and this is exactly why I have already spoken to the manager and he has assured me that you are going to get this during the activity, right? Depending on what your friend has just said. So I think these are some suggestions that you can use if you are really running out of ideas, and it would help you to stay on the topic and to continue with the conversation, because 10 minutes might feel really long, but if you kind of use these strategies, you would be able to manage it pretty well. Now, the next very important thing to keep in mind is to make sure that you don't repeat your arguments or you don't repeat your reasons, and always give a better or a different reason to your friend, because if you keep using the same reason, it's going to cost you some points. So just make sure that you use variety of reasons and you don't repeat them. Now, if you want to use advanced level expressions or sentences, you can definitely do that. It is going to help you to get a higher score, but make sure that you only use them if you are 100% sure and you use them appropriately. Let me give you an example. So if you want to say that I've already spoken to the manager, then you can say j'ai déjà parlé au responsable. But if you want to use a better expression here, then you can say je l'ai déjà donné un coup de fil et le responsable m'a dit blah blah blah. Now you can use that expression, but make sure that you are comfortable with it and you know that you're using it at the right place. And last but not the least, always conclude your conversation. I've mentioned this point in the other video that I created for section A as well. It is very important to conclude because you get extra points for this. So whenever your examiner gives you a sign that your time is getting over, just conclude it quickly. It won't take you more than 10 to 15 seconds, but make sure that you always do it. You can say something as simple as je suis heureuse que tu aies changé d'avis et je suis sûre que ça t'appellera. Passe une bonne journée. That's it. It is not going to take you more than 10 seconds, but it is going to make a lot of difference in your final score. So that's all for today's video, and I'm sure that if you guys use these suggestions when you're doing your mock test and during your exam, you are definitely going to get a very, very good score. And I wish you all the best. I'll see you soon. Bye.